Being 9 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any changes or additions to the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes?
Move to approve the minutes.
Do we have a second?
I'll second
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
it.
Opposed? Motion carries. Engineer Bogazinski?
Morning.
Morning.
I'm on the agenda today to request approval of the 2016 prioritized bridge replacement resolution. Coming to the board once a year, right around October, to get approval of this resolution. This gets sent on to the state, then that way the state has an idea of what we're looking at replacing over the next 5 years to help with determining funding needs. I mentioned during subcommittee this morning the proposed construction years. That's our best estimate at this time. There are some township projects, especially that some townships want these projects moved around a little bit. That's going to depend on some working with the townships as far as availability of funding on their end, along with design being done in the order that they want it to be done. Like one example is Sweet Bottom Road. We have a bridge that's designed up ready to be built this next year. Township would like that project to be pushed back to bring a different project up that's Fort Ridgely Road in 2018. So if we can do that design quick enough, we do Fort Ridgely in 2017, push Sweet Bottom back. So stuff like that where the years are as accurate as what we can be at this point, but that might change a little bit here as we move forward. So besides for that,
So we really have 6 bridges that we're going to do next year.
we're hoping to do
At
6.
this point.
It's based on getting projects designed in time, land bought, and then bid prices.
Move to approve the resolution for bridge replacement.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kruger?
Good morning, Commissioners, Council.
Good morning.
I'm back before you with the quotes for the softeners. As you may recall, a couple of weeks ago, I was here making a request for funding to do a flush of the boiler system as far as all the boiler lines. The quotes came through. Just a moment, please. The boiler line flush, just by way of to refresh your memory, is ballparked at approximately $6,000. The reason we don't have an exact on that is because we don't know. There's a lot of unforeseeables when you start cleaning lines like that, potential plugs, etc. Finding a flush could cause a leak that we have to repair, etc. So that's a ballpark. It could be less. It could be a little more. That would be performed by Winona Controls. They do the maintenance for our boilers and have been doing all the repairs and upgrades for our system. The quotes came in. We have 2. If we were to treat the water for the entire facility, it would require 2 different systems. We have 2 different water sources. One is for the historic courthouse, the old section, if you will, which we are not recommending treating that water. That's also where our drinking water fountains are from that. And we don't believe that that's necessarily in the, would serve us well. But those quotes for that range from $3,200 to $4,400 for this, the old section of this building. Keep in mind, the quotes come in a little bit apples to oranges because the lower quotes do not include the electrical, and there could be, it's not just setting a box, it's more than likely,
Good hit, Steve.
Still going.
more than likely running a whole circuit for that as well. So the electrical could be on top of it. The highest quote does include the electrical. More importantly, though, this morning, and what we are recommending is a water softening system for the addition, which includes the lines that feed the boiler system. Those quotes range from $3,370 to $3,580. The two lower quotes do not include any electrical work that would be on top of it. So we're recommending at this time to go with the $3,580, which includes all electrical. Like I said, it could be as simple as setting a box, but my individual judgment is I doubt that. I believe it's more likely going to require running a whole circuit for it. Our electrical systems are pretty much at capacity, and so we would likely do that. So I think that has been that also would be beneficial in that the company that proposed that quote is also the one that's most familiar with our boilers. And so at this time, I respectfully request that we are able to go forward with this firm bid, a firm quote of $3,580, including the electrical, for water treatment for the addition, which would include, of course, the restroom facilities, all the water that comes in. These systems, and you may be wondering why these softeners are as pricey as they are. They are these commercial systems are based on not only metered flow of water, but also how many flush valves you have and how much demand you could have at any particular time, which of course you do not want in the event you have a lot of simultaneous usage. You need a system that can handle that. So that's what I'm here to.
Well, I think that's a reasonable quote. I was actually thinking it's going to be even higher than that.
Yeah,
The
me too.
concerns. Like,
Surprised me too.
with that being said, I will move that we go ahead with the quote of $3,580 for the water treatment and the $6,000 for flushing boiler lines.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
How much salt do you anticipate using per year?
I don't have. I request this
That'll be
quote on that.
that'll
but
be
I'm
an
not certain.
ongoing price too, but it's needed.
I'm gonna just give you that.
Who's the vendor on the water softener and electrical?
This would be Winona Controls.
Oh, also? Okay.
The vendors that we solicited and received quotes from are Winona Controls, New Guard, and Culligan.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, and thank you for your support.
That was needed.
Yeah, that's a good
It'll
quote.
save
Yeah,
money.
no.
It'll save that
I
money.
thought it was going to be more too.
It'll save a lot of money too.
Okay, so moving on to the consent agenda. The two things on it are the correspondence to the payroll and the MCIT annual meeting announcement. Do we have a motion to approve the items being placed on file?
I move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there any unfinished business that we need to discuss today?
No, none that I have.
Okay. And then commissioner reports and comments. Commissioner Chomey, would you start this, please?
Yeah, lots of meetings last week. Started out with Wednesday at the EDA meeting. I attended with Judy, and a lot of different items. I'm sure Judy takes better notes than I do. I'll defer to her on reporting that one. And on Thursday, I had water planning over at the soil and water, and we talked about different push-up ponds and some, we talked about the flood damage to the Crooked Creek area and stuff like that. Pretty good meeting. And at night I had the extension meeting. We talked about talked about the fair and how things went at the fair. Rebecca and Mike both gave good reports on the fair.
Good.
And it looked like a real short agenda, but it ended up being a long night. Lots to report on the fair, and the 4-H is doing well in the Crescent. Which
Good.
they got a new group down the Crescent. They're doing real well. That's
Wonderful.
exciting.
Good.
And Mike is doing things with both Fillmore and Houston County.
Good.
All busy. So
Good.
it was good. That's what I had.
I attended the D-Day in Normandy, France, this past week.
That's
How
dedication.
come we didn't,
Awesome.
we didn't bring us with?
I represented Houston County. And it was so wonderful, very emotional.
I had nothing.
And I didn't either. Quiet week.
I had the Houston County at the EDA meeting. One of the things I wanted to make sure that I brought up is we're looking for another person on the board because Barb Beeson has retired, and we need someone from Brownsville, Eitzen, Hoka, one of those towns to still be represented. So if you could have any names or suggestions, either get them to Courtney or Dana or I. We have we've approved, or we have been approached for different fundings coming up, so you'll be hearing more about that. Our new vice president is Matt Schultz, correct?
All from the bank.
Yeah.
From the bank Schultz.
Yep.
Matt Schultz,
Is that right?
because Barb was our former vice president, and so now he will. And then the next day we had Houston County Tourism Initiative, which was an excellent, excellent meeting. We had a really good turnout. We were in Spring Grove. We've talked about, because the tourism affects everybody in the county, everybody has a reason to be involved with this. So we've talked about not just having it a tourism initiative, but more of a county planning initiative too. We talked about the different things that that the county has to promote the tourism, the outdoor recreation, the small town culture, and food and things that are starting to be developed in the area, like the wine and spirits and the artesian, the cheese. Okay, how do you say it? Artesian?
Artisan.
Artisan.
There you go.
I know I was saying it wrong. I just couldn't get it right.
Artesian's a word.
I know, I knew that. But there's someone that started cheese. And so to promote all those things and the history of the area. And we talked a lot about the need to develop a, Explore Houston County website and hook it into the Southern Minnesota website and into the Explore La Crosse, and reaching out to those areas. So those are some of the things that we're going to be exploring more of. So that was just an excellent meeting. And then I had the emergency communications meeting in Rochester yesterday. And this Friday, there's a shelter drill in Winona County that most of the emergency management teams in the area will be participating in. And they're going to be sheltering not just people, but this is their first drill where they'll provide shelter for animals also. They talked about when you do audits, as audits on this board, a lot of the grants pay for radios in our county, and how important it is to keep track of every one of those radios so that when we're audited we can do that. And they talked that the ECN grants come out pretty soon, and they have to do with getting, putting training into the county, and we need to make sure that those get applied for. And then they talked about how important it is to have all the radio, people using the radios trained well, and the volunteers and stuff, because there have been some problems in other states where people have had the radio but they don't know how to respond, and so it's made it hard in an emergency. And then you guys have all heard about FirstNet coming in with the broadband for emergency things. Well, FirstNet's going to be looking for a committee soon too, so that'll be coming up in the next probably 6 months. And they always are looking for people to volunteer on committees, so if anyone has an interest in emergency communication, we should go to the website, ECN, the state website, to check on committees you might want to volunteer for. So it was a good meeting.
That what used to be called Armor.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Same one.
same thing.
Yep, and then it was the emergency
that.
radio, and now it's the emergency communications board. So as things move on, it becomes, more of a
Inclusive of.
rate. So that was all that I had. We can go on to discussion items. Approve claims, human services, and license center disbursements.
Move to approve claims, human services, and license center disbursements.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
I had quite a few questions, but I did meet with Carol to clarify them. And she said, like, the Minnesota Department of Corrections, we had the bill for $94,000, and it's from the state, so of course we have no, but it's twice a year. And they have gone up in considerably in their costs, so, and that was the main thing I had. But I was fine with it, I got my answers.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That's a good bill.
Just a reminder that the District 9 meeting is in Austin on October 24th. Maybe we could plan to carpool out. Dana, are you planning to attend? Teresa?
Yes.
Justin?
I will not be around that day.
Steve?
Oh, yeah, I'll plan it.
It's October 24th, you said?
Yes, and we have to be in Austin at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
So we can talk about that, arranging transportation.
Now I got a couple of things here too. There's a meeting at the old landfill on Wednesday at 1:30.
The one
Your
down by
district,
me?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, district. Rick Frank mentioned that. And then there's also a meeting in Orinoco Friday, and that's regarding silica sand. It's an agency, some looking for public comment, I guess, regarding some input on silica sand mining in
So
the
say
state.
those two again, the landfill one is at.
Landfill, 1:30 Wednesday, at the landfill.
This Wednesday?
Yep.
Yeah.
for tomorrow-
Wednesday
for
at
tomorrow.
1:30?
Yes.
And the silica sand?
The Orinoco one, go talk to Rick about that one.
It's at the People's
He's got
Co-op.
copies.
The People's Co-op in Orinoco at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
And he's got copies, hard copies of what they'll be going over.
Sounds like the state is trying to develop some guidelines on silica sand.
Okay.
Is there anything else to come
You
before
know,
the board?
Orinoco is real well.
Yeah, I know exactly where.
Anything
have
else
anything.
to come before the board?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Uh,
Motion carries. We're adjourned.